I was hiding in the back room. Sorry. Hi, welcome everyone. Steve's back again. Fantastic, lovely to see you on the back. Thank you. And today we're trying to try something different. We're going to be streaming, hopefully, across the internet. Hopefully we'll be live around the world. So, yes, enjoy the evening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Which is a particularly useful way of involving the teaching community. On the other hand, except for me, because this one's occupied, the education statistics website the other day, that there are somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 English language teachers in and around Izmir. It's about, what, about 25 probably? The message being, the next time you come, bring a friend. Thank you, Celia. Okay, on to which about emotional intelligence and classroom dynamics. I want to start with a little anecdote. I've lived in the same flat in Educator, and it's near for the last 8 years. Do something.
And you want more people?
Okay, so as I said, I lived in the same flat in for about the last years. And I lived in a very nice apartment. It has two tables, it's very nice, but I have a problem with it is that he always outside the door. Now this is easy, and we don't do that in Izmir. We've got telling you, and the caretaker, but his door was open. I was very pleased. An example of something that irritates me, but it irritates me. So the first thing that I want you to do, assuming that you take for a pen or pencil with you, so you have a piece. Okay, so I'm going to embarrass you publicly now. Come to the front. There's some scrap paper here.
I like the body embarrassed. Anyone else? Three cases.
And on a piece of paper which you can tear out of a notebook, that's fine. I'm going to give you 1 minute exactly to write down as many things that irritate you as possible. My wife borrows my credit card to go grocery shopping. Mango or So things that irritate you. Some people have filled up a whole sheet of paper already. It's okay if you to look at each other. Let's just have one or two examples. Can you tell me something that irritates you?
Yeah, my name is
Good example, yes.
Monday. I work Mondays.
Mondays irritate you, they irritate everybody. Okay. No, don't stop. Don't get too enthusiastic. Amanda, tell me something else. Oh, yes, that's a good one. So let's have one more from a gentleman this time. Would you like to say anything from a gentleman? Oh, sure.
Donald Trump and the word Trump in general.
I think, at the risk of being politically biased, I would say that that's not an irritation that makes people furious. Okay, let's have one more. You can have one more. Come on.
After buying something twice, how much is it? I'm learning that I paid much more than that, so I need to pay for.
Good. Now is to put that piece of paper. By the way, you don't need to take any notes. I have handouts here. Primary and secondary, or tertiary. Some of you look very young to me, but in fact everybody is. But the fact of the matter is that whether you're young or not, we're all dinosaurs. We're all dinosaurs because we're all active already. Our students have grown up with things like this. So that means, to a certain extent, that our students live in a slightly different world. And therefore, we're on the students. And there are some repercussions. Like this. So just read through that list, you may recognise some of the things which are common to your students. Good things about our students, but there are some problems too. So concentration, which has So probably because they live in two times, don't they? They live in real time and virtual time at the same time. All developmental goals that kind of lacking in aim somehow. Not really quite sure why they're doing what they're doing. Perhaps not asking themselves that question, learn what I need for the next exam, and then I'll discard it. Doesn't necessarily go in. And the last one, something that I'm sure you've all experienced, academic success with little effort. So it's all about I want grades. I want 5 for everything, or whatever the mark is. But I don't really want to have to work very hard for it because I'm the student. And this is certainly prevalent in private education, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So that's some background about our students. But there's one more thing to add to this. So not just as students, but also as people, they have low EQ. EQ stands for emotional intelligence. It is, that is what it is. So it's something about managing emotion, managing feeling. Which, if you want to read about emotional intelligence, this is the book you need. Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence, which was the first major thing afterwards. But that's the book. So why is emotional intelligence important? Both of which I think are very, very relevant. The first one is about the relationship between learning and feelings. You probably learned better, you felt relaxed, you felt comfortable in the classroom when the teacher wasn't challenging you all the time. And I love the second part here. Stress makes people stupid, doesn't it? And we're all kind of het up and we make mistakes, we get things wrong. Or sometimes we can't solve problems or answer questions at all. And there's a colleague of mine who also does teacher training in Izmir, Paul Johnson, who is a specialist in the relationship between brain chemistry and student behaviour. And he explained to me to cut along the story, inside us are released with stress and actually make it physically difficult, so they can't. Scientific reason behind this as well as a psychological one. I think that's quite important to bear in mind. It's important to decide. aware of this change more than 100 years ago. Talked about this integration of a community-based thing with more individualistic, which is something I notice even among teachers these days. Becoming structure, yeah, families are becoming a little less is not taking necessarily much responsibility for education, it's left to the schools for mobility, people move around, so perhaps the long lasting community, which you're all aware of. So we're spending an awful lot of time chatting to people on the internet, possibly broadcasting being face to face, you watch it irritates me a lot. So yeah, so that's another part of the problem. It's also a problem because the educational view of the future is something like this, but they've all got something to do with communication. So what we're trying to produce are people who are more communicative. So there's a fairly typical church classroom with students sitting next to each other in perfect pair formation, but I suspect that there isn't an awful lot of communication going on there. I'll read through that again, but the most important sentence there is at the bottom. We've come to accept I think, as language teaching cultural class, you would not really have a lot to each other because they should also, probably because they don't know each other very well, they would want to find out about each other, and that's fine. But of course you work in a monolingual class, don't you? Most of you, I suspect, work in schools. One of the questions that I have about community language teaching is that I travel around. Talk about assessor. They could be very interesting. So between us the same as mine. we watch. Which we can counteract that by making some of the pair work and group work activities that we do a little bit more interesting on a personal level. So what we're doing is encouraging students to develop their emotions as well as learning to speak and producing language. So I'm going to ask you to do something for me. Complex instructions. Don't do anything yet. I knew it. 2, I'd like you to choose an adverb of manner. 1 that you choose yourself. Happily, unhappily, energetically. I'd like you to tell your partner the adverb, and I'd like you to ask your partner to produce this sentence in that way. Okay, so what are you going to do first? I'm checking my instructions. What are you going to do second? What are you doing? And then you're going to change roles. And I'd like you all to put in as much emotion into this as possible. Now, to avoid embarrassment, I'm going to ask all of you to do this at the same time. So I want you to be as noisy as you can on these windows.
Yes.
Ready?
Yes.
Yes.
What did you have? What did you have? Come on.
I'm still under the sentence. I missed the service bus again today.
Hope you got that on camera. Would anybody else like to volunteer their partner?
I'm going to volunteer.
Let's have one more. Come on, what did she have to do?
Good question. I missed the service bus today.
Very Shakespearean. Excellent, fantastic, good. If we're going to ask you to use their emotions to speak in the classroom, when would be the best time to do it? Think about a lesson. When could we do this? We're not thinking about that particular sentence, but when could we actually ask you?
When they start sleeping.
Yeah.
Vocab drills.
Good. Any kind of literary structures within popular language, anything, yes, during drilling. Also, of course, during speaking activities, particularly role plays, or we ask them to voice opinions, and so on. And why did I ask you to stand up?
So we can put our whole body into it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's very difficult to use your body language and a lot of expression when you're sitting down. And it's one of the reasons why I like to ask students to stand up as much as possible when they're speaking. That's why Manga activities and things like that are so useful in the classroom. Yeah, because we need to use our bodies, our facial expressions, and our voices. Okay, so we're beginning to introduce emotion into our teaching. Have a look at those questions. I had to look at a few course tools and websites before I put this slide together. And these were actually questions which course book writers or website writers think that we should ask students to ask each other in the classroom. What we practice here?
Frequency.
Good, and those are frequency. Okay, so think about that, think about those questions. What's wrong with those questions?
Every year they learn that.
They do, yes, they do. It's amazing how often they teach the same thing. I took the more personal ones out, actually. So yes, that's a bit personal, isn't it? Okay, any others? Any other reasons?
There's also culturally biased, and also you may not go to the shopping centre. You may go to the market.
Okay, so a few students, one or two of them might be able to be embarrassing, possibly. Okay.
The answers will be the same, probably. Once a week, twice a week, 3 times.
Okay, are they frequency evidence?
I think it is questions that will be the same.
So the natural answers to these questions are not frequency evidence. Once a day, twice a day, 3 times a week, every day, every evening. So these questions are not actually producing the target language. You need to be careful about that when you ask questions in the classroom. So they're not producing the target. The point about this, of course, in a non-lingual environment, particularly in a class, the students already know the answers to these. When I reckon by the second week of the first semester of the school year, students already know as much about each other as they want to. Yeah, the boys know which other ones play six-a-side football. The girls know which shops the other girls go to. They've chosen their friends, they've chosen the people that they want to talk to, and they found out about them. So these kinds of questions lack interest totally, don't they? They look for a shopping centre every Saturday. End of story. Show on Facebook or WhatsApp every day, every evening. We never stop. My phone's under the desk. Yeah, so those questions are not really terribly productive. And yet, we do tend to ask things like that. What might be better, and I'm just doing this at your level, we'll have to modify this activity to the level you're teaching, is asking them questions like this. Just to ask, well, let's see what happens.
That's good. Just like go out for 1 second.
That was great. You're just like managing each other. Next, happened when you ask each other those questions.
We just talked.
Yeah.
Really say story, where often you call a story personal. But here you personal.
Okay, so let's imagine a conversation here.
Quite often.
Quite often, when was the last time?
Probably last yours.
So, yeah, I mean, these kinds of questions, they do produce the right target language. So the answer to these questions is sometimes not real. Yeah.
My question is, because we often inquire when it is said, right? But my question was that, how often do you cry when you feel happy?
Good question. Lovely question. Very nice.
Only personal. And you were just
And obviously you would give the student right not or not to answer. There's some which are personal. How often do you daydream? How often do you wish that someone else? That's a nice question. And of course, when they're talking to each other, the students don't have to tell the truth. They're making things up, which is fine. I make things up.
They all do.
We all do, absolutely. So yeah, so produces the right target language, and you're absolutely right. Okay, it generates language question, and the answer is more. Is achieving a linguistic aim in terms of the target language. But we're also enabling students who know each other on a surface level to get to know each other more. And some students will reveal quite a lot, others won't. Or they might do it later. Or they might leave the classroom and say, well, I was going to tell you something in the classroom, but I didn't want to. I'll tell you about it now. So helping students involved. So we've got language on one side and we've got emotional intelligence on the other side. So a lot of things being achieved in one exercise. Okay. Again, I have another question of students. Get students to talk about themselves. Well, why should they? And lots of students don't want to talk about themselves all the time. To me, it doesn't mean talk about yourselves, it means talk personally. And have yourself. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to do this activity with me. But this time in this activity, you are not yourself, you are your partner. So Hope, who are you now? Only because you cry. Yeah, so I'd like you to be the person sitting next to you. Okay, you need to answer the questions as though you were there, whether you know the answer or not. And when you think questions, okay, go.
I don't know.
Very on. Okay, did you enjoy that?
Very much.
Tell me something that you found out about your partner that you didn't know before. Or were you right all the time when you pretended to be in front of you always right? Did you find out anything new about your partner? What?
I like the color black because I think it looks good.
Is that what you thought?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and you were right. Oh, fantastic, good, excellent, well done. Anybody find out? Yes?
Also, she said that my ambition is to find a good job with better conditions.
Is that what you predicted?
Yes.
Yeah? Very good, okay, any others? Anybody get some?
President of
Overestimated. Okay, all right, excellent. So it doesn't really matter whether you were right or wrong, does it? You found out things about each other. The emphasis here is not necessarily linguistic, because you were using lots of different structures. But it did raise your awareness on the other person. So again, we're working a little bit on emotional intelligence group dynamics. The next one. And I'd like to tell you are still the person next to you and not yourself. This one focuses on what? What's the grammar? Good. Okay. So I'd like you to do the same. Can you just choose two of these to complete on behalf of your partner? So you are completing this for someone else, not yourself. And again, I'd like you to check to see if you were right. Is it what they would have said? Okay.
I'm looking afterwards.
Did you find out anything surprising about
Julie is really into manga, which I didn't know, the Japanese comics.
Really?
Yeah, that was surprising.
Right, good.
And
Nice
both
one.
Zach and I would keep the money if we found money on the street.
Well, you should ask the audience to ask me that question, but my answer is the same. I'll keep it.
I go to space and meet Italy.
I think it's better way to spend my time. But yeah. Any other surprising things or strange things? Okay, let's do one more. So that particular activity was combining a little bit of group bonding and finding out about each other with some grammar practice. A little bit more grammar practice this time, but this time, okay, and I'd like you to do this without conferring with each other. So you're predicting what things you have in common with your partner. Okay, so don't talk to them until you've done, let's say, 3 or 4 of these. So what do you think you both are? What do you think you both have? Okay, so I'll just give you a couple of minutes to think about it.
So we're both we both play when we were younger, we both used to practice. In the future, both of us will probably
Okay, so tell each other what you thought and see if you agree. Okay, stop. Did you find out anything about both of you, which was either surprising or interesting or different or strange, just plain weird? Anything? So what did you find out? Yeah, for example?
When we were young, we both used to sing silly songs.
It's okay, I'm not going to ask you to do it. Great, brilliant. No, that's great. No, that's a very nice one. Any other things? Yes.
Both of them have tutors.
Okay. Good.
But they would be surprised. Thank you.
All right, nice, good, thank you. Anything else that you found out about each other, or both of you? Any other similarities? Let's have one more.
Back in yes, when we were younger, we both used to like practicing.
Practicing
Teacher, anything.
anything. Excellent. You are English language teachers, but I think maybe you're coming to a conclusion, it's one of my conclusions, which I would normally say at the end of the session, is that actually you're not just English language teachers either. This session ought to be telling you that you're a bit more than that you are educators in a true sense, and your job is more than just teaching English. Particularly if you're teaching youngsters or teenagers, your job is to help them grow up too, to help them to manage their relationships, their emotions, and also, of course, that helps you in your classroom management. So it has an ELT purpose too. I'm going to do one more thing with you. Sorry. I've got some scrap paper here actually, so if you haven't got a sheet of paper and separate sheet of paper, a nice big one, could you perhaps distribute a bit of paper for me?
I have to go to my class, so. Oh, now you two are
Okay, so we're going into artist mode now. So what I'd like you to do on your piece of scrap paper is to draw a medal. A medal. Yeah. A medal. Just someone's tree. So draw medal, it could be this medal, it could be a more decorative medal, I don't know, it could be a medal with a nice ribbon. Doesn't really matter. Nice big medal. We still have people with invisible medals. And your medal looks like a tree. And has everybody drawn a nice medal? Yeah? Doesn't have to be very elaborate, that's fine. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to look around the room, like all the other people, and choose somebody that you admire for some reason or other. Somebody that you admire. And it could be, for example, because you think they're the greatest teacher in the world, or it could be because they've got lovely hair, or it could be because, I mean, lots of things. Use your imagination. It could be real, it could be unreal, it doesn't matter. You need to choose somebody in the room, preferably somebody who is sitting next to you. Okay. And when you've chosen somebody, I want you to write an inscription on or under your medal, which says the purpose of the medal. So I'm giving this medal because I think you're the greatest teacher in the world. You have great taste in lipstick. You have very big eyes, or anyone at all. It's fine, even Billy. Don't like the name of this crime.
Oh, great.
Hopefully draw like a touch, so that could be tricky. Okay, has everybody written their inscription? Have they written something on or underneath their medals? Good, excellent. So it's stand-up time again, because I want you to stand up your medal that intended to, and tell them what. So stand up, take your medal to the
Just a joke. I'll pay you for the. Yes. We just want training. Take the training.
So, you have very good function, well-organized tutor that are very hard. You welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice. Great. Lots of issues going around this. Before we start looking at ways of development in the classroom, just by modifying at least maybe their practice. Let's try and help them to develop as people as well as. Do you remember right at the beginning of the session, I asked you to write down things that can you find the last thing that I want you to do today is to tear up or screw up your piece of paper, and on your way out, I would like you to dissolve it in the dustbin. And I'd like you to go home, be happy, don't let anything irritate you, and sleep well. There are handouts on the cupboard here. There are two. One of them has a summary article, and the other one is through activities we did and on the chair. Thanks very much.
Very nice to meet you.